So I watched Star Wars for the first time with my son the other day.
Cool.
Yeah, you know what he likes the best?
The lightsabers.
Lightsabers.
Lightsabers
exactly.
are cool.
And he won't be watching this, but I'll tell you, my mom is getting him a lightsaber for his birthday.
Ooh, lightsabers are very
and
cool.
she's getting me one for his birthday too. So
Saber.
we're going to have lightsaber battles.
I like these sabers. They're a very good thing.
Yes.
All right, okay. Hey, so today we're talking about light.
Yep.
You know, I think we should start with a video clip, Mr. Sams.
Okay.
So let's actually several video clips. So guys, as you're watching this, I want you to think about what is light? And you might kind of ask yourself, isn't this like a unit about the atom? The atom, yes, about the atom, and you're talking about light. Why? Why do you think?
Because they're all related.
Because they're related. So actually, we're just going to learn about light in this podcast, and we'll connect it in the next podcast to atoms.
Here we are, guys, in downtown Denver on the 16th Street Mall. We got the Hard Rock Cafe here behind us. And what I want to talk to you right now is about light. So what am I doing in downtown Denver talking about light? Well, there's lots of lights around here that you can see. Now, when you think of light, what you're thinking of is visible light, colors that you can see. Now, in case you're interested, we're talking a range of about 400 nanometers to about 700 nanometers of the wavelength of light. And as you have different wavelengths, you have different colors. So, on our Hard Rock sign here, we got yellow, we got some red, we got traffic lights over there, we got red, and we've got green. Over here, we've got a little sign that says Jerry's, we got more red light, we've got more green light, and each of these colors, each of these lights has different wavelengths, and you visibly see those. But there's also some light out there that you cannot see, so let's go somewhere else and see where we can see that. Okay, so the invisible light we were talking about is the same type of energy. It's still electromagnetic radiation, just like the visible light that we saw on the Hard Rock sign, but the invisible kind of light just lies outside the range that our eyes can actually detect. It's the same thing. It's still electromagnetic radiation, and you guys see things that produce these kind of invisible light, if you will, all the time. So there's one on top of this building up here, and that's called a microwave tower. And microwave tower just sends electronic signals. So for like a maybe a police radio or even a cell phone signal, those are all electromagnetic radiations that you cannot see, but it's the exact same type of energy as the visible light that your eyes can detect.
Here I am in front of the National Public Radio Broadcasting Center here in Washington, D.C. And we're going to talk about radio waves. This, of course, is a radio station, and it produces very, very long waves in the electromagnetic spectrum. The waves, in fact, are like meters long, whereas visible light, the green and red and whatnot, is very, very short wavelengths. Sounds pretty cool, Mr. Sams.
Yes,
light.
Yeah.
So light can be. Some light you can't see?
Some light you can't see, that's right.
Some
So
light.
it's all electromagnetic radiation. So, and there's a very small range of it that's actual visible light that our eyeballs can detect. Now, can you imagine how chaotic the world would be if we could detect all these radio waves that are bouncing out? Cosmic rays coming from outer space.
Woo!
Every time you walk into a
rays.
doctor's office, there's X-rays.
X-rays.
And then, everything coming off a cell phone tower. All that
Microwaves.
stuff. Can you imagine like seeing all of that?
Yeah, kind of cool though, because
kinda
like different
overwhelming.
colors. Yeah,
Weird.
it's so cool. All right, so let's take a look at this. This
see,
diagram
look at
is
that.
kind of a critical thing. It's called the table of electromagnetic radiation.
So you can see the small, tiny range that is visible light. So we're talking like 400 to 700 nanometers in terms of the wavelength of the light. But there's, lots of different.
So think of light as more than just what you can see. There's also UV, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. Those have high energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say E for energy. And then as you go lower in energy, you get infrared, microwaves, and then down here we get all the radio waves, FM, AM, and other radio waves. So there's so much more light that you can't see, but it's actually there.
And it's all the same kind of energy that is the light that you can see.
Do you know that some animals can actually see
A
outside?
lot of insects can detect ultraviolet, and things like snakes and some other animals can detect infrared.
Yeah.
It helps them hunt.
So I wonder what color is that when they see that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the interesting question, isn't it? So think about that. It's like talking to a blind man and explaining red to him.
Right. It'd be like, what does the rattlesnake see when it detects infrared?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So here's an important thing to understand. This is electromagnetic radiation, and it travels in a wave of energy.
Right, it's called a photon.
So let's talk about the whole wave thing. This is the picture blown up. If you don't have this in your packet, which we might put this in the packet.
Right, and if you're watching this in QuickTime, you can hit pause and go to File, Print, and you can actually print this off and cut it out and paste it in your notes.
You think you probably should. So, yeah. So, Mr. Sams, we want to talk about the waves of energy.
Yeah, it looks like they have some different properties here.
So waves, think of a wave like this, like a water wave, if you're standing on the beach or whatever. And so waves have different properties. I know, well, you know, there's like a rampart reservoir.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like the puddle in your backyard.
Yeah.
Okay, I live in Westwood Lakes. There you go.
Yeah, I've seen
Okay,
it.
so there are properties of the wave. I want you to write down these definitions, guys. Probably just push the pause button and then wait.
Yep,
so,
hit pause, jot them down, and then unpause, and we'll carry on.
Okay, so we're back now, and hopefully you push pause there. Let's take a look at a wave, and let's sort of define what each of these things are. So the distance from this wave right here to this wave right here is called what?
That's the wavelength.
The wavelength. So write this down. You may need to copy down the wave, and
that's
the simple
length of the wave.
That's right. So if it's like in the length of the wave, that's just too amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It follows the symbol lambda.
Lambda.
It's a Greek letter lambda.
Yep. It looks like a funky H.
Or a guy who's running without arms, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's wavelength.
That's wavelength. Don't forget this, and don't be scared by the symbol. That's just like X.
Yeah.
It's just something to give the name of something.
And there's another one. If we measure the height of the wave, what's that called?
That is the amplitude.
Oh, there it is, the amplitude.
Yep.
So it's an amplitude.
Yes, that's amplified. Let's turn it down.
So amplitude is when you're doing a sound wave. That's just how loud the sound is. And the wavelength, different wavelengths essentially have different colors. So red light has one wavelength and blue light has another wavelength.
Yeah.
And then the third property of a wave would be its velocity. That's how fast it's traveling.
Yeah, and the nice thing about electromagnetic radiation is they all travel at the same speed.
Which is called the speed
of
light. Light. The speed of light, which by the way is really fast. It's 3 times 10 to the 8th meters per second. Okay,
and that's, while we're talking about symbols, we're going to abbreviate the speed of light as c, lowercase c.
Yeah, so the speed of light is a c. And then the last thing is something that's kind of weird to understand. It's called the frequency. And that's measured in waves per second.
Yep.
So, and that's hard to understand. So I think our next slide tells us to do a video clip of that. So as we're talking about frequency, which we talked about just a minute ago, some things that gets kind of confusing for folks is that if you've got high frequency waves, they're going to be shorter. You see that this wavelength is short.
So high frequency, short wavelength.
And this is a long wavelength,
low frequency.
And a low frequency.
So they're inverse. So high frequency, low wavelength.
Yeah.
Low frequency, big wavelength.
Now, to truly understand that, I think I've got a short video that maybe would help explain that.
Okay.
So why don't we go to that video and then figure out what frequency is. I've found over the years that students often struggle with the concept of frequency. Now, what is frequency? Well, frequency is how frequently a wave, say, strikes you. So I want to envision that you're on a beach. Now, I'm standing in a high-rise in downtown Denver, but that doesn't matter. So frequency has to do with how quickly a wave strikes you. So if I am standing on the beach and the waves are hitting me, let's say they hit me like this. So every maybe second or so, a wave hits me and hits my toes here while I'm standing on the beach. Now, if you have a wave that has a higher frequency, okay, it's going to hit me more rapidly. Each wave has the same amount of energy, but I will be hit by more waves. And if I hit by more waves, that actually has more energy. That makes sense. If the same sort of size of wave hits you fast, that's more energy than one that hits you like this. So that helps you to understand frequency. So that's our understanding of frequency.
All right, so we've got all the properties.
So we've learned the properties of waves and the frequency. So that's just what makes light a light. The thing that's probably the biggest takeaway, though, I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is that what makes the color of the light change is the wavelength. So if the length of the wave is 400 nanometers, that's going to be purple light. And if it's in the 700 nanometers range, it's red light. If you get it to, say, 1 meter, then it's a radio wave. It's just changing the length of the wave. That changes the color, or you might think the type of infrared, or the type of electromagnetic radiation, infrared. If you get uber short, you get gamma rays, and you don't want to be exposed to gamma rays. It causes...
It turns you into the Incredible Hulk.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, something like that. Well, that's it for today's podcast, guys. We'll see you in class. Goodbye.